Welcome back to our podcast, to the Solution Prescribers podcast. My name is Moises, and we're glad you've joined. Today, we have an interesting topic. We want to talk about the power of stories, and more importantly, how do you share the stories? And when we talk about stories, we're really talking about the fact that when we're speaking to our patients and we're speaking to our clients and we're sharing them those testimonials or those success stories, how are those being delivered? And what we have found as we visit practices, as we shadow clinics, is that oftentimes the stories are shared very, very, very clinically, or like it's just step by step and that's it. And so it's made us think as we talk to our teams on okay, how do we deliver a story, and what's exciting about the story? And I love documentaries, and the reason why I love documentaries is because it just kind of shares facts, and then it shares details, and I just love documentaries. But if you really think about it, overall, we really don't see the boxes, the movie theaters being people running to go and watch a documentary. It's really more of a unique taste, or everybody has like what type of documentary do you want to watch, and that's really what we encounter as we watch documentaries versus watching a cool movie that everybody's raving about and everybody's going because it just moves you, or it just kind of hits your heart. And so let's step back for a moment, and let's think about the difference between a story and a documentary, and what makes you want to go and look at a story versus a documentary. And in all reality, what really entices you to want to watch the story is the fact that it, like I said, it hits the heart, it hits the soul. I remember listening to this producer, and that they were talking about making sure that they were actually in charge of the music of the movies, and they made sure when they gathered as a team, they said, okay, we got to make sure that our music moves the audience. Keep in mind that the audience, they're deciding to pay $20 or whatever it is to go to the movie theater, and the goal of them going to the movie theater is to escape their reality. So, and they put it into perspective on saying maybe they don't have that much to be able to spend on themselves, and they're investing in themselves as a takeaway, as a getaway to go to the movie theater. And you really want the movie to move them and get them out of where they're at to where they want to be, to escape from reality, to just enjoy a little bit of life, if you will, if they're having a rough time. And they focus a lot on that movie. And so as I listened to that concept, I thought about, okay, how are we helping our patients and our clients when they're coming into us, that it doesn't feel like it's a documentary, that when we're telling them the success stories, it's not just Susie was unhappy because of her acne, and now she's happy because she has clear skin. Okay, that's true. That's a before and after fact, but that doesn't necessarily excite or move people to want to go, wow, what happened? How did she get rid of acne? Tell me more about that. I can read that, and that feels more like a documentary, or more like just a matter of fact storyline, and then I'm the one that puts in my own emotions to make it a reality for me. So there's three steps in making sure that a story can be enticing. And we'll discuss all three. We'll use some examples, and please feel free to send your ideas and your thoughts when it comes to this. But and by the way, I'm going to use Disney as an example. Disney is really good at telling stories, and so the three steps are: you first have to talk about the pain. What is the pain that the story or the character had, and that's step number one: discussing the pain, discovering the pain. What's the challenge that they're facing? Then the second step is the turning point. When did things took the turn to a road of hopeful success, or hopeful happiness, or hopeful whatever that is? What was that turning point? And then the third portion of that telling a good story is going to be the reward. What did they receive? What did they accomplish? What was the triumph? And so pain, turning point, triumph. And those are the three steps. And the better those are shared, the more powerful the story. So I mentioned I was going to use Disney as an example. And so bear with me. Let's use the story of Cinderella. So what was the pain that Cinderella had? And some may say, well, the pain that she had was the fact that she was cleaning, or not that she was cleaning, but she was the maid, or that she didn't have parents, or her dad died, or she couldn't go to the dance. And there's a lot of different pains that she suffered. But if you really think about the tough part about that situation, is that she was a maid in her own home. Like her father, that was her father's heritage or legacy. And then he happened to marry a woman who became her stepmother, and then she had stepdaughters, and she was actually this belonged to her, and it was taken away from her in a sense, and she was actually a maid in her own home. That was painful. Like, I'm cleaning for everybody, I'm the maid for my stepsisters from the legacy that my father left, and they treat me as second class citizen. I'm having to clean, I'm having to do all of that, and I can't even go to the dance because I got ready, but then they ridiculed me, and they took that away. And that was the pain. The pain is like, I cannot even get a nice little break to go to a dance like everybody else is going to. And so that's the pain that Cinderella had. The turning point. When was the turning point? And the turning point was when she's crying and she feels helpless and I can't do this anymore. She's just bawling her eyes out. And then the fairy godmother comes and she goes, beady bob, beady boo, or whatever the saying was. And she gets to go to this dance, and she meets the prince, and then the shoe happens to be left behind. But the turning point was the fairy godmother. When the fairy godmother showed up, her life changed. And they started working on things, which is, let me work on your dress, let me work on your shoes, let me work on the carriage. You're going to go to the dance and you're going to meet the prince. And she met the prince. And then the triumph took place, which is she ended up falling in love with the prince fell in love with her, and then they had some trials, but at the end of the day, she ended up marrying the prince. So she went from being a maid in her own home versus now she's the princess or the queen of the kingdom. I don't know how that ended up, but she became royalty for the kingdom. And so that's a huge change. And so as we think about our clients and our patients, what's the point, the pain, and then go really deep on what's the deepest part of that pain. So for example, let's say that I used adult acne at the beginning. So let's continue with that. So if somebody has adult acne, it's like, oh yeah, they feel embarrassed, or they're shy, or they feel uncomfortable. That's painful, but let's go deeper than that. What's going on when you're feeling that shame, or in this specific patient? Let's think about a patient and what they went through and understanding their story. And so maybe the pain could be, well, they started to isolate. They did not have friends, and they just, they got to a point that they had no social life, and she became depressed, and all because of adult acne. Then she was so depressed. I mean, she felt helpless, and then she saw this ad, or she heard a friend, or she saw something on TV, on a website, and about your clinic, and your clinic has solutions for adult acne, and you're sharing testimonials and sharing before and afters. And she goes, okay, I think I'm gonna go in and book a consult. And the consult with your clinic becomes the turning point. You are always the turning point. Speaking with your patient coordinator, speaking with your provider, giving your clinic a call, that becomes the turning point. You are, as a clinic, as a provider, the fairy godmother. So you're the biddy body boop. As they speak with you, they go, oh my gosh, they provided me with a roadmap. They provided me with some steps, some services that I needed to do, product that I was supposed to buy. And as I followed that roadmap, what was a triumph? And then the triumph was I started getting clearer skin, and then I started making friends, and I started going out on dates. And next thing you know, I went from being isolated and not having friends and not going out at all, to having a partner. And it's like that's the dramatic change of all because of a treatment plan that I have with adult acne that helped me clear my skin and gave me the confidence to live the life that I wanted to live, or to become social again. So it provided me with the confidence that I needed to do what I wanted to do. And that's the before and after. That's the power of a story. And so sometimes we are we stay on the documentary side, which we say they had adult acne. We provided with a roadmap, and now she doesn't have adult acne anymore. She has clear skin. It's true. All of that is true. But how do I make it more more meaningful, more to the heart, where people can connect of saying, yeah, you know what, when I have acne, or when I've had acne, or me having acne, whatever the situation is, I see myself isolating. Yeah, I don't want to go out because I don't know if people are looking at me in the eyes or they're looking at my skin. So I don't feel confident. I feel self-conscious. So I want to hide. And then that goes week after week after week, then turns into months, and then turns into a year. Next thing you know, I've not gone out at all. And all I do is work and then go home and I'm sad. And people can connect with that versus just the acne. And they can also go, oh, wow, I want that triumph. I want to marry the prince. I want it, whatever that is. They marry, and they love the idea of that triumph. And then they can see their own story and say, okay, I want to have that triumph. So what do I need to do? The turning point. And once again, who's the turning point? You, the provider, the clinic. And so they schedule with you. And so that's the power of the story versus a documentary. Now, let me add one more component to it, and that is a component of a trailer. And so when you look at trailers, you really don't know anything about the story. You just kind of feel the emotion of the struggle and maybe what's going to happen, and are they really going to get there? And the purpose of a trailer is to entice you to want to know more about the story. That's the purpose of a trailer. And the better the trailer, then the more they want to buy a ticket to watch the story, and then the more intrigued they are about the story. And so as a clinic, not all of us have an opportunity to be telling the stories. Not all of us have time to be sharing the story, but we all have time to talk about trailers. And so the trailers, what really happens is that you talk about the deepest pain and the highest triumph. And you just go, man, they went from A to Z. And they go, what? How? What happened? Oh, come on in. We'll tell you more about it. Or come on in. We'll create a roadmap. Come on in. Let's talk about it during your turning point. Like, they are so intrigued of how they went from being isolated to having a partner, or whatever that is, that the deepest pain that they have into the biggest triumph. You only share those, and that becomes the trailer. That's what you promote on your website. That's what you can promote on billboards. My front desk team, we can talk about that as we're trying to book appointments. We can talk about the trailer. Oh, you're going to love it. We've seen people go from X to Z, or when people are in the back office, whoever's in your back office or your MAs, as they're rooming the patients, they can talk about that trailer, the biggest pain and the biggest reward. And they say, you know what? I can't wait for you to talk to the provider or your patient coordinator so that they can have that turning point with you. So we are promoting the trailer so then they can ask questions about the story. And in the story, during the turning point, they understand the big picture, and then they can start creating their own story. And in fact, what most people share at the beginning, your patients, as they refer you to others, is that they're really sharing, oftentimes they share their trailer. They share their triumph, their pain and their triumph. And then they go, you ought to go in and meet with them. And then they go, okay, I heard about this trailer, this story. Tell me more about how you can make it happen. And so the goal is that everybody on the team, as you're doing your marketing, as you're speaking with patients over the phone, as you're rooming them, as you're just talking to them about products, that we talk to them about the trailer. And if we have time for a story, we share the story, but we stay away from documentaries. And so my takeaway for us as solution prescribers is, as we are speaking with patients and they're telling us maybe their trailer, their story, that we ask questions to better understand the pain. Don't keep it at surface level, because remember, the deeper you understand the pain that they're going through, the sweeter that triumph is. People root for that triumph because they understand the pain they went through. And so as you are understanding your patient's story, take some time to dig in and ask a couple of questions of, what did that mean to you? And what did life look like? Or what is life looking like because of that? As you're meeting with your patients, you can create that story with them. Because remember, you're the turning point. So you understand, you must understand. It's your duty to understand their pain and what they're going through. And then as you design their roadmap, the roadmap is really for their triumph. So you get them excited for their triumph. And every time you meet with them, you see how closer you are to that triumph. And when they get the outcome, that result, you can go back and celebrate. Man, do you remember when we had that? And you talk about the pain, and now look at you today. And so then they know their story, and they can become evangelists, and they can get all excited about it. So it's our responsibility to not just understand the surface level of that pain, but go a little bit deeper and understand the real pain, so then we can all celebrate the triumph. And then it's the team's responsibility. It's our duty to not just share a documentary, but share the trailer, share the excitement, share the before and after. And we'll learn more about that. But that's our goal. So our invitation once again is get to understand what the pain is, get to understand the triumph, and celebrate that triumph with your patient. And then as you share this with others, either share the trailer or share the story, but do not share a documentary. As solution prescribers, our goal is to inspire our patients to become triumphant in their own stories. And so let's create, and during that turning point, that solution. Let's prescribe that solution so they can be winners in their own story. We look forward to hearing about you guys and how that's going as you guys are asking these questions. And thank you for joining. And let's go ahead and share these stories. Thanks.